February 25th was Madeline Soto's 13th birthday party, a big day in any child's life, celebrating the end of one phase and the start of the next, the teen years. But tragically for Madeline, this was not the beginning of her teen years. It was the end of her life. She was reported missing the next day, but investigators believe she was already dead by 8:19 the following morning. They also say she was in the car of a man named Stephan Stearns, her mother Jenn Soto's boyfriend. Stephan is currently locked up after police found disturbing images on his phone, resulting in 20 counts of child sex abuse-related charges and 40 charges involving hundreds of images and videos of that abuse. Madeline's body was found 4 days later, 22 miles from her home, and tonight, we return to the scene, examining the location where Madeline was recovered. How could someone discard a body here in broad daylight? And what about the environment the body was in? Will the ME be able to recover useful evidence from the autopsy? What is the status of the murder investigation, and when will someone be charged? Tonight, we take a look at these questions live on the ground in Central Florida as we investigate the tragic life and death of Madeline Soto. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. We have a big hour straight ahead, and of course, we're beginning with the case involving Madeline Soto. You think about what happened to this young girl. She turns 13, and then she's discarded, tossed, dead on the side of the road in some brush in Central Florida. Yes, it reminds us of another case of another young girl who was also discarded off of the side of the road in some brush. We know how that turned out. That's why we've got a lot of focus on this story, on this case, taking a look at each and every piece of evidence connected to this girl who had just celebrated her 13th birthday. And we think about what a significant day that is, right? You know, I remember when I was, boasting to everyone, I'm a teenager now, right? I'm not a kid anymore, I'm a teenager. And as I sit here tonight, I'm just wondering if that was what Madeline was saying. And was that perhaps the reason that someone took her life? Because now she was maturing. She was becoming more grown up, and maybe was feeling the power and the ability to speak out about what was happening to her. Now, Stephan Stearns is the suspect. And the day that his so-called, and I say so-called because I have a hard time saying this, his so-called stepdaughter disappeared, he had a really strange day. Like, what was going on? Really strange day. He's apparently at the dumpster at 7:35 in the morning. What's going on there? Well, we kind of know what's going on there. Then he's driving all around. Like, did he have work? Was he delivering for Uber Eats? What was he doing? Where was he going? Why was he there? Why did he get a flat tire? Where did he go to get this flat tire? What was he doing on that side of town? Because he's not close to where I think he lives with Jenn and Madeline. So on the same day that his stepdaughter goes missing and gets a flat tire, missing child, same day, does that make any sense to you? Is that like just a really bad day? Oh, you wouldn't believe it. My stepdaughter went missing and I got a flat tire. Got a flat tire doing what? Where? When? Why? We're going to talk about all this tonight. All of this tonight. Because this is a big part of this story. I'm going to try to tie it together and see if there is a connection to all of it as we return to the scene. We, Closing Arguments, Court TV, returning to the scene of where Madeline's body was recovered. Important. So let's go back in time. Let's listen to Chief Betty Holland from the Kissimmee Police Department describing information that they knew at the time that this was a missing persons case.
Please share this crime line bulletin on my right of Stephan Stearns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and 2:30 p.m. in the area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Stearns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything suspicious, we're asking that they call Crime Line.
Okay, so based upon what the chief said, let's take a look at a map so you understand the area that we're talking about and what exactly it means. And we begin, of course, with the location of Madeline's remains. And you look at that area, very green, not a lot of development. It's near a body of water. Now, State Road 192, a bit of a main road down there, a main highway. I remember when I lived in the area, I would drive on 192. And there you see where 192 goes. Now, let's take a look at Hickory Tree Road. Significant part of this, that's where the body's found, on Hickory Tree Road. And you see Hickory Tree Road kind of loops around and connects to 192 in two different spots. Now, Nolte Road, where's Nolte Road? Let's take a look at Nolte. Nolte kind of runs east and west, going from more of that St. Cloud area towards the Kissimmee area. And finally, they mentioned Old Hickory Tree Road. So you've got regular Hickory Tree, then you've got Old Hickory Tree Road, which connects 192 and Nolte. And that is significant here as you take a look at the map, those two dots. And that's where police seem to be directing us towards for this flat tire. But is it Old Hickory Tree Road? Is it Hickory Tree Road closer to where Madeline is found? Well, let's do a little investigation. And when I say investigation, I mean let's go to Court TV producer Cody Thomas, joining us live tonight from outside the Kissimmee Police Department, who's heading up this investigation. He has spent all day today down there. So let's start with where you went today. Give us sort of the backstory, where you went, why you were going there.
Well, good evening, Vinny. Of course, we went down Hickory Tree Road where Madeline Soto's body was ultimately found by the Osceola Police Department. And as I was going down that road today, I noticed on either side there's not really much there. It's pretty flat. I know she was found in a wooded area. And of course, as we kept going down that 3 to 4 mile span of road, we ended up finding the exact place where she was found, signified by a memorial by the community. Let's take a look. So we just turned onto Hickory Road where Madeline Soto's body was found, not to be confused with Old Hickory Road. That's where police and investigators say they did catch Stephan Stearns in that 2010 Lincoln MKZ changing a tire the morning of February 26th when Maddie Soto went missing. But as we look out here on Hickory Road, we see that it's pretty flat. There are some wooded areas to the left, but it's pretty flat, not too hilly. There's some cows out here, some private farmland. It's a little bit residential, not too busy. We've seen 4, 5, maybe 6 cars tops, and we've been on the road maybe about a mile, a little over a mile. And as I'm noticing some of these light posts, there's no sort of security camera type deal going on out here. And again, on either side of the road, it's pretty flat. You know, not many woods except for way back at the tree line, at the wood line off the land away from the road. I don't see much wooded area up towards the asphalt. But that's not to say there isn't some of those areas as we continue on down the road. Now, as we continue on down Hickory Road, we are starting to see a couple more cars. There were 3 that just passed us right there. And actually, as we're coming up down here, I see some cars parked off to the right, or to the left of me, excuse me. And this actually looks like on the right, if you look up to the right of the road, that is it. That's the exact spot where Maddie Soto was found. You can see that memorial. We have some community members out here putting some things together. So, and these trees right here off to my right, that is where Maddie Soto's body was found dead by police. Now, we are actually at that site on Hickory Road where Madeline Soto's body was found. And if you follow me and look down the stretch of this road, there's not much on either side. I know she was found in a wooded area. It's kind of desolate on the left, a little desolate on the right. You could easily view something from the road if you're passing by. But right here behind me is the memorial site actually where she was found, right in between those trees. And we actually have some community advocate members out here with us, and they tell us that one of them actually has been in contact with the owner of this land right here behind me. And that day, that morning of February 26th, they say that gate was open. They've talked to this owner of this land. The gate was open, and that owner is mourning because now they're having those thoughts. What if the gate was closed? What could I have done different? But ultimately, again, right over here between these trees is where Madeline Soto was found, here on Hickory Road. Now, just across the street here in this area, this little divot off of Hickory Road, is where a witness online describes where he saw Stephan Stearns kneeling down, changing a tire that morning of February 26th when Maddie Soto went missing. Now you can see it's just a little gravel divot, a lot of flat land back here, private farmland. Now, police described the area they saw that flat tire situation on Old Hickory Road. There's an Old Hickory Road and a Hickory Road. Hickory Road, again, across the street where Madeline Soto's body was found. So there could be a little confusion as far as what witnesses may or may not have saw between the two, that is Hickory Road and Old Hickory Road. But one thing we do know, again, right across the street and that tree line behind that memorial over the fence is where Madeline Soto's body was found on March 1st. And Vinny, as we stood there for the half hour, maybe 45 minutes, we were there, at least 5, 6, 7 people pulled up to that memorial, adding more things, teddy bears, notes from all over the country, paying their respects to Madeline Soto and her family.
So a couple things jumping out to me tonight, Cody. Number one, it's flat, right? Florida is generally flat, and that area is absolutely flat, right? So you had the wooded area where the body could be secreted, but to get the body there, if you're parked on the side of the road and you got your trunk open, your door open, whatever, anyone driving by is going to see it. It's the middle of the day.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, where I was standing at, I was looking right across. It wasn't even 30 feet away from it. And if it's broad daylight, there's cars coming by, you would easily be seen. There's no way you would not be seen. Those trees are right there, maybe 10, 12 feet from the road, right behind that fence where the memorial is sitting with all the teddy bears and the windmills and everything like that. So you would easily be seen by a car coming by.
To think, right? So the question becomes this flat tire. Is this flat tire some sort of a ruse? Is there a flat tire and then at the moment there's a flat tire, could he have allegedly gotten rid of the body because he had a flat tire? Or was the flat tire a reason to park on the side of the road and in case someone saw him, there'd be a reason for him to be on the side of the road? Either way, it seems like based upon that witness account in that area where you were, that's like right there. It's right there. It's the same. It's basically the same spot across the street.
Right across the street. Again, that's a great observation. Literally right across the street, no more than 20, maybe 30 steps. And to your point, like it could have been a ruse. It could have been an act just to seem as if you were doing something else just to take an alleged dead body and go dump it across on that private land. But until we know more information, that's still up in the air.
Absolutely. So from your observations today, obviously a little bit more traffic because people are coming to pay their respects to Madeline, but how many cars that aren't stopping there are coming by during the time you're there, middle of the day, much like is alleged here that it could have happened in the middle of the day?
Middle of the day, we were out there close to an hour. We probably counted maybe tops 20 cars. 15, somewhere between 15 and 20. So it's not a very populated area. There's not much traffic coming through there. And again, it's pretty desolate either way. And that whole span of the road is maybe 3-4 miles long, no street lights. So if it's dark, it's really dark. But again, this was taking place in the broad open daylight and there were still not many cars coming by.
Right, and if you're there at night, I don't even know how you would find your way around. And an important piece of information, though, that the gate was open. If the gate's not open, there's no way for the body to be hidden near the wood line. It'd have to be right there, much more out in the open. So as you were there, you mentioned cars were stopping, people were stopping, so you bumped into some folks there. What are they saying?
Of course, they're saying the community is mourning this loss. And the people that were there that I saw were actually community advocates fighting for child abuse victims statewide across Florida. But one of them was a mom, and she says that this has completely torn her apart. She understands what Maddie Soto's family is going through dealing with this loss. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Keeping the site tidy. The property owners were kind enough to let us keep the memorial honoring Madeline Soto, and for the family and friends to have a place to come and mourn and pray and remember Madeline. These are gifts that people within the community have brought, as well as people from other parts, pretty much all around the world. People from Ireland, from Texas. A lady contacted me with address because she wanted to send her present for Madeline, and pretty much, ensuring that also balloons are not brought on site, anything with strings, because this is a working farm. There's cattle, there's animals that need to be protected.
And of course, Vinny, that woman says that the community is trying to bond together, bonding as they're mourning, but she says that's the only way that this community is ever going to try to get over this terrible situation.
So, and this information is really eye-opening tonight, right? Being on the ground, to me, it's a much different perception I have of the area and what happened here. And then when it comes to the search, I mean, I've got to think that if police believe that search area or the area where he was spotted is across the street in that little turnaround area, the search makes sense, right? That particular area makes sense on Hickory Tree Road, not Old Hickory Tree Road. If he's changing the tire on Old Hickory Tree Road, there's a lot more ground to cover. Like that's pretty far away from where you are. It's not like a walking distance or anything else. So there would be almost no reason to search the area where she was found unless there was some sort of connection to the suspect here, which is the changing of the tire.
And that is exactly right. We actually rode on Old Hickory Tree Road, and like you said, that was about 15 to 20 minutes away by car. So imagining walking that far, let alone with a body in a book bag or a sack or whatever it may be, not happening. 0% happening. So to your point, for them to search in that area, there had to be a connection, there had to be some sort of sighting, something that put him in the vicinity for them to even begin to look there and ultimately end up finding her body there.
Yeah, because, and this, I mean, again, this is the middle of nowhere. These are farms, 22 miles from Kissimmee, 15 minutes from this Old Hickory Tree Road. So I believe someone had to give them information to get them there, and it makes sense if this witness said that he was in that little turnaround area and saw the suspect there with a tire iron, maybe changing his. That makes so much sense tonight, because without it, I mean, what reason would investigators have to search the area you were in? Like, it's nowhere near their home. It's not near this so-called Old Hickory Tree.
And again, Vinny, it is sort of, in all senses of the phrase, in the middle of nowhere. It was slightly residential, and by that I mean maybe 5 or 6 houses that were sitting on big plots of land, but there's not a lot of people coming through there. So to even have an idea to be out there, there had to be some sort of connection.
Absolutely. All right, Cody Thomas, Court TV producer, is on the ground in Central Florida. We're getting reports all week this week. I know you've got a lot of ground to cover down there, so great job tonight, Cody. We'll speak to you again. When we come back, we're going to take this information, bring in our experts, and see where it takes us, and see what it really reveals, and what information investigators may be able to get. Plus, coming up next hour. In Delphi, Indiana, we are less than 2 months from the Delphi murder trial. The man accused of killing Abby and Libby, Richard Allen, says he didn't do it and has pointed the finger at a group of people practicing Odinism. And today, 2 crucial pretrial hearings, and we are live from Indiana with the latest.
At around 2 o'clock that same day, a witness said she saw a man on the bridge standing about 50 feet up, but he looked very different according to her account. Looked boyish, young, 20s, maybe 30s.
We are moving closer to trial in the case against doomsday prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Morgan. I could never come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
We are actually at that site on Hickory Road where Madeline Soto's body was found. And if you follow me and look down the stretch of this road, there's not much on either side. I know she was found in a wooded area. It's kind of desolate on the left, a little desolate on the right. You could easily view something from the road if you're passing by. But right here behind me is the memorial site, actually where she was found, right in between those trees. And we actually have some community advocate members out here with us, and they tell us that one of them actually has been in contact with the owner of this land right here behind me. And that day, that morning of February 26th, they say that gate was open. They've talked to this owner of this land. The gate was open, and that owner is mourning because now they're having those thoughts. What if the gate was closed? What could I have done different? But ultimately, again, right over here between these trees is where Madeline Soto was found, here on Hickory Road.
I've got a much clearer picture tonight. Much clearer picture of what could have been happening that day. And also, this is the middle of nowhere, right? How did investigators end up over there? They needed information to get there. You don't randomly search that area. This was March 1st. This was the big announcement from the Kissimmee Police Department. 4:30 during a coordinated search in the area of Hickory Tree Road. The body of Madeline Soto was found in a wooded area. Madeline's family has been notified. This is an ongoing investigation. Well, it's not deep woods. It's more of a tree line that divides the owner's farm and the road, right? In between the farm and the road, there's a tree line. And again, let's take a look at the map where this is, where she was found. Hickory Tree Road. The original reports were that where the blue dots are, that's where the flat tire was. But it seems like the flat tire spotting may have been closer and would make more sense if it's closer to where the body was found. But we're learning a little bit more about the topography and the environment where her body was discarded by someone. All right, let me bring in my guest joining us tonight in Chicago, Illinois, criminal defense attorney, host of Defense Diaries. Bob Motta is with us. In Salt Lake City, Utah, retired police commander, host of the Profiling Evil podcast, Mike King. And in Barrington, Rhode Island, board-certified forensic pathologist, Dr. Priya Banerjee. Great to have everyone here tonight. All right, Dr. Priya Banerjee, we've talked before about this, but let's start all over from the beginning here. Now that we're seeing where she was left in this tree line just off of the roadway there in an area that's really farming, what do you see significant there? How could that impact what the ME is finding in the autopsy and the examination and the investigation of Madeline's remains?
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking to think she was discarded there. I had no idea what this area was like. And when I think about it now that I've seen it with you, I'm very concerned about the environment, meaning bugs, other animals in the area. Now, it's hotter in Florida than it is where I am. So I'm concerned about whether she's having exposure, and by exposure I mean to sunlight, humidity. You know, is she shaded? Is she not? I don't know what she was, how she was discarded, if you will. You know, was she wrapped in something? All of these affect the body after someone dies, and so that's going to affect the condition. And I'm really worried about decomposition. You know, I don't know how long she was out there, but I'm very, very concerned about it.
Well, investigators, I think, believe that it's about 4 days or so is the amount of time.
And that's a long time.
That's a long time, 80 degrees, high 70s during the day. I want to remind everyone what the chief said. And to me, these two things have to be can be tied together, and maybe the key to all of what we found at the scene, which is the flat tire and the location of the body. Let's listen to Chief Betty Holland again from the Kissimmee Police Department.
Please share this crime line bulletin on my right of Stephen Stearns. He was last seen driving a silver 2010 Lincoln MKZ. The Florida tag is IYLL82. On Monday, February 26th, between 1 and 2:30 p.m. in the area of State Road 192 and Old Hickory Tree Road, as well as Old Hickory Tree Road and Nolte Road. During this time frame, it is believed that Stearns had a flat tire and might have been seen changing the tire in this area. If anyone saw this vehicle or noticed anything suspicious, we're asking that they call Crime Line.
And you saw the car there, spare tire on that back left. I want to show you guys one more thing, though. This is from a possible witness to all of this. This is from a Facebook post on March 1st saying, I gave the pictures to Osceola County law enforcement as they started their search, and they found her where I said I saw him. Crime Line told me I did not have enough information, but Osceola law enforcement jumped right to action. Thank God for the Osceola law enforcement and Kissimmee Police Department. And this is what this witness alleges. I saw him, meaning the defendant and his car, around 1:20 Monday on Old Hickory Tree, right? Old Hickory Tree, pull over on a roundabout that has a cargo shipping container. He was in on the right-hand side heading towards Harmony, which is a town. He was wearing a green light brown hat backwards. I didn't see anyone else in the vehicle. He was outside the car, back left tire. That's what we saw, the back left tire with the tire iron. Looks like he was changing, but I couldn't say for sure. The witness apparently said Old Hickory Tree, but that's Hickory Tree Road. But everything else he describes, like the body, the cargo, the turnaround, the roundabout, that's all on Hickory Tree Road, not Old Hickory Tree Road. Mike King, the search. I mean, this is almost the middle of nowhere, but they found her. It had to be a result of some witness information, don't you think?
I think that and the combination of cell phone data that they used to maybe put this thing together, Vinny, and I think that's what we've got to really take into account. At first, I was a little bit discouraged because I know how flat that area is and how difficult it is to get a decent cell signal. But when you start looking at not only the cell towers, but all the microwave towers that are along that road, I think that the cell reception was pretty good, and they probably had a pretty good marker of what roads he traveled down. And then they could start looking, taking advice of that witness, of the container, of the vehicle being off on a little pullout. But then we got to think about, how did that body get back behind the trees? And I think that can be pretty well explained by the fact that that gate was open. It's possible he drove the car back a ways and then carried the body, or knowing that it's a pretty remote area, he may have just gutted it out and headed across the road with that child.
Bob Mata, this witness, if this witness, to me, is the key to the case, because you could place the defendant near where the body is found. That's crucial in this case.
It's huge. It's huge. Like Crime Line seemed like they were sleeping, saying that they didn't have enough information. That seemed like a ton of information to me, Vinny, in terms of what they were saying. I mean, they gave location. Yeah, that witness is massive. You know, I mean, that puts him exactly. It can be nobody else. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we're just waiting for the murder charges to drop, and like this seems like this is the thing that we needed.
And it's not quite Scott Peterson, but it's like Scott Peterson, where he is placed, but Scott Peterson placed himself there, away from his home at the scene where the bodies were recovered in that case. Mike King, let me ask you another question on this, though. I'm thinking about this flat tire. Is it really a flat tire, or is it a ruse? Can you forensically, do you think forensically you could figure out how, if the tire that was taken off the back left is flat, do you think you could figure out what caused that flat tire? And if it's not flat, then this absolutely is a ruse.
Yeah, I think forensics are going to really play a big role here because number one, if he picks something up going off-road into that area, it's probably going to be something they can determine and say this is where it happened. But those tires, if he did go off-road, are going to probably have residue and artifacts that suggest that he went off-road there. So I think that's going to help too. Could it be a ruse? Why not? I mean, what a great thing to say, I've got to have a reason to park my car on the side of the road while I wait for traffic to pass by and then hurry and secrete a body in the woods. So I think we got to keep all of them in our minds. We can't focus on any specific one until more information comes out. And frankly, I haven't heard a person say yet that they looked in the trunk and there was a flat tire in there.
Yeah. Dr. Priya Banerjee, let me ask you, we don't know the time of death here, but if in fact she's murdered early morning, sometime between 5 and 7 in the morning, and this is now 1:30 in the afternoon, what is the state of her body going to be at that point?
Well, now we're talking 4 days out, right? That's the...
No, not 4 days. I'm talking about the day of.
Oh, okay.
If she's murdered 5 to 7 in the morning and the body is discarded in the afternoon at around 1:30, what's the state of that body going to be? And is it going to be easy to carry? Is there any issue there?
Well, I think she's going to show rigor mortis. She's going to be stiff. And so whatever, however she was crumpled up or hidden in the car and then transported, that's going to be significant. It's not going to be this limp, easy to carry body. I mean, she's also a teenager. She is not a baby, so that's going to be, if anybody passes by, they're going to see her being discarded, I hope, So, right, it's not a subtle effort to hide her on the side of the road.
All right, folks, we're out of time for tonight. We'll have everyone back. Appreciate your insight. When we come back, folks, we're going to take a look at some of the statements of mom and the suspect, and we're going to bring in Dr. G. So there's physical evidence, there's forensic evidence, and both of those are crucial in a case like this. But then there's the other approach to everything that's happening, which is the dynamics in the home, the interpersonal relationships, the dynamics between Jenn Soto and Stephan Stearns and Madeline, and trying to understand those relationships, and then also taking a look at the way they reacted to all of this. The way Madeline's mom reacted and the suspect, Stephan Stearns, reacted. Let's get a little help with that. Got an expert joining us from Roswell, Georgia, a psychologist, Dr. John Paul Garrison, also known as Dr. G. Dr. G Explains on YouTube. Great to see you, Dr. G.
Thanks.
All right, let's start here. I want to start with the mom, Jenn Soto. A lot of talk about her. Everyone's got their theories. She's not a suspect, but she did speak publicly to WFTV while her daughter was missing before she was found. So I want to watch a little bit of that interview and then get your take on what you're seeing and what you're hearing from mom. Let's watch.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way. She was spotted walking by the church, by the middle school, on the cameras. They saw her hang out in the parking lot for a little bit and then get up and leave. They didn't see a vehicle or anything else. They just saw her walk away around 9 a.m. heading towards the school, but she never made it.
What was the last thing, I guess, the conversation that you two had, you and your daughter?
We spoke about her birthday party. She had a birthday party on Sunday. She had a great time. I couldn't make it because I was working, but she had an amazing time. She was so happy with all her gifts. I told her good night, and yeah, that was it. I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah, in my heart, I feel like somebody took her. This isn't like her to just pick up and run away, or just not go to I don't know what to think. She was last seen wearing a green hoodie, black shorts, white Crocs, a black JanSport backpack with gray hibiscus flowers on it. She got dropped off in the morning. We did not notice until after school pickup at 4 o'clock when I went to go pick her up and she wasn't at school.
All right, Dr. G, what'd you see? What are you hearing from Mom here?
So she obviously has a lot of anxiety. So we see that, but we don't see a lot of sadness, which I think confuses a lot of people, because you would expect that somebody whose daughter is missing, and she seems very clearly to believe, she seems to think very clearly that somebody took her, but we're not hearing a lot of sadness. And I think that's very confusing. And she also makes odd statements like she was last seen, which almost sounds like the way that law enforcement might describe how someone was seen. So there seems to be a disconnect between what we would expect and what we're seeing.
So, there are a couple of things and about Mom that struck me. The lack of emotion was number one, and then number two, the shaking. And she's like this, and I can understand. It's first of all, you're speaking to a reporter. This is potentially the worst day ever of your life. What are your thoughts about that shaking?
So there was a lot of adrenaline that's coursing through your veins when you're anxious, and she doesn't seem to have a lot of great awareness about how she comes across. So it may be that many of us, even if we're anxious, may be able to inhibit that some, and she may just not have the awareness to do the same thing. So to me, there seems to be a lack of awareness about that type of body language that she gives off.
Now, let's get to the suspect in the case, her boyfriend, who she referred to as Madeline's stepdad. They weren't married, but it seems that they may have been functioning as this quasi-family unit living together. So here he is in his interview with WFTV.
I dropped her off. Everything looked fine when I drove away. It's the last time we saw her.
What were the conversations that y'all had in the car when you dropped her off?
Not much. She was asleep for most of the way. Told her have a good day at school when she got out, and I love her. She said, thanks, love you too. That was it. We don't know where she can be, and we're scared. We just want her home, just not knowing.
So the unknown is killing you?
Yeah, it's like our whole world is upside down. Not feeling her presence here is... Sorry. It's hard.
So, Dr. G, what are your thoughts about the emotion that you're seeing and the eyes that aren't like looking at the person who's talking to him?
First off, the emotion that comes across is very fake. Now, one thing we saw with Mom was a lack of emotion, but she's not faking emotion. His emotion, you're not seeing any tears, although he's making these sounds of crying. We're not seeing any tears. It seems like a fake expression of emotion to me. And he's also sitting very still, almost not moving. And oftentimes when people want to hide, they try to move less physically. It's a freeze response. So in a lot of ways, he wants to be seen because I guess he thinks that's a great part of the plan. But he's clearly also trying to hide at the same time, speaking quietly, I presume rubbing his eyes before he got on camera so they would look red. But we're seeing a lot of fake emotion.
What are your thoughts about the way he's reacted to all of this? He's had court appearances and has just been waving them. Like, I don't want, and he knows, people in Florida know that there's cameras in the courtrooms in Florida. That's just the way the law is down there. And in big cases, the cameras will be there. But he's waived all of his appearances and has not been seen publicly since that perp walk that he took.
It's a total loss of power. And when you have somebody who potentially could be a psychopath, who has low empathy, high manipulation, a high need for power, you've lost full control at that point. Maybe he had a master plan. Maybe he thought that he could fool everybody and is so disappointed by that. He can't face the idea of everybody getting to see him because he has no control over what people are going to say or what they're going to think, because clearly people have seen through everything so far.
And he's being held not for the murder. He's being held for the images that were on his phone. And this is someone who allegedly is recording himself sexually assaulting a child under 12. What are your thoughts there?
presuming if this is in fact true, we're talking about somebody who is so deranged and who is such an intense psychopath. All bets are off in terms of what he could have done or what he would have been willing to do. Truly, it's so depraved, it's hard to imagine. But also we know psychopaths are very impulsive. And from what we've heard, at least reports have said that he tried to delete his phone the day of her murder, which means that that was probably an impulsive act as well, probably not planned, at least from the way I see it.
Dr. G, great to have you on the program. Glad you can make it tonight. drgexplains.com and Dr. G Explains on YouTube. We'll see you again really soon. Thanks so much.